The effects of the 2023 recessions are being felt throughout all layers of society, whether you own a business or clean the streets for a living. However, and interestingly, in this current recession, there are strange patterns detected that economists and researchers have never seen before since the Great Depression in 1873. Survey after survey reveal widespread recessionary anxiety as this recession hits different. This concern contradictory observations and the why the 2023 recession is fundamentally different will be explained in this video. If you watch till the end, we will explain the 5 variables that make the 2023 recession unique and worse than any recession ever experienced in modern days. Hello, and welcome back. Since the early 1980s, high inflation, the Fed usually increases interest rates and reduces money supply to calm an overheated economy. The economy contracts as a result and ultimately causes a recession. That's how it worked back then, and the trend today is heading in the same direction toward what many see as an impending global recession. According to some analysts, the recession will hit towards the end of 2023 or the start of 2024, because according to historical evidence, there is a 1-year gap between monetary policy changes and their effects on the real-world economy. While some forecast the downturn to hit sooner, around mid-year, there is broad agreement that the year 2023 will bring financial chaos. Typically, when you hear the phrase recession, you probably have memories of 2008, when in communities that were hit the hardest, foreclosed signs appeared on every front lawn like tombstones. But a recession in 2023 will probably unfold very differently, necessitating new arguments and analysis of how it affects the following areas. 1. Real estate. Banks usually provided cheap, easy loans to borrowers who did not even meet credit requirements prior to the Great Recession in 2008 to finance hazardous and reckless subprime mortgages with the least stringent regulations. This led to a housing bubble, which when it exploded left investors and financial institutes with trillions in useless mortgages and mortgage-backed assets. And although inflation drove the real estate market to historical highs in 2021, it was no bubble. Record low mortgage rates, inventory shortages, wood scarcities, COVID shutdowns, supply chain issues, and the rise of remote labor all contributed to inflationary pressures. But none of these points to the kind of systematic decay that supported the housing market immediately before the Great Depression. 2. Job and unemployment rates. According to the December 2022 jobs report, the employment economy is still holding strong despite inflation, falling stock prices, and a cooling property market. But if a recession occurs, unemployment will undoubtedly increase. In the wake of the financial crisis following the coronavirus pandemic, unemployment rose to 10%, while joblessness climbed to 14.7%, the greatest since the Great Depression, owing to coast-to-coast lockdown implemented to stop the novel virus's spread. As a result, analysis and Fed officials have projected the unemployment rate to be 4.6% in the next year. 3. Cost of living. Expert economists agree that wages will not keep up with the rising prices in 2022 and 2023 as the high cost of living spreads throughout the world. 9 out of 10 economists forecast wages to drop in poor economies during that time, along with 80% in high-income economies. Compared to 60% in high-income nations, the majority of leading economists predict that poverty levels would rise in low-income countries as households' purchasing power declines. Now, let's take a look at the viewpoint of some financial authorities. IMF. According to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, 1/3 of the global economy will likely be in a recession, and for millions of people, it might seem like there's a recession even in nations that are not experiencing one. The reason for this is that the US, EU, and China, which are the 3 major economies, are all slowing down at the same time. The impact of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, inflationary pressures, and the high rates of interest imposed by central banks around the world were all taken into account by the IMF when it reduced the stats of its forecast for global economic growth in 2023 in October. The managing director of IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, says that the United States is the most robust economy and could avert a recession. The IMF boss also said that it will be difficult for China in the coming months, which will negatively affect the growth of the regions and the world's economies. The IMF, in its World Economic Outlook for October 2022, headlined "Countering the Cost of Living Crisis," predicted a decline in growth of sub-Saharan Africa from 3.8% to 3.6%. Additionally, it forecasts a slower rate of growth for the Nigerian economy, lowering its previous predictions from 3.2% in July to 3.0%. World Bank. With predictions for 2023 being lowered for 95% of advanced economies and roughly 70% of emerging economies in developing countries, the sudden slowdown in growth is anticipated to be widespread. This is a very troubling thought, isn't it? The expected average per capita income growth rate for emerging and developing economies over the next 2 years is 2.8%, which is a full percentage point less than the average growth rate from 2010 to 2019. With an average growth rate of just 1.2% over the years 2023 to 2024, sub-Saharan Africa, which is responsible for nearly 60% of the world's objectively low per capita income growth, may see poverty rates rise. These are disturbing times indeed, but if you've prepared yourself and your finances, you needn't worry much. Watch our video. This will save you when the recession starts, and do this now as the recession has started for tips on how to prepare for and survive during a recession. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a like and share your opinion in the comments section. Remember to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to be among the first to be notified whenever we upload a new video.